So I'm Fran, and this is my partner here, Lucy. It's kind of a hard act to follow behind Blake, but I really appreciate what he's done and what Ms. Helen's done. And I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago we just got together and for a few hours and just talked about how we can kind of help each other and get tips on do this, don't do this, this is what I learned kind of thing. So definitely recommend that. Where's the timer? Right there. Okay. Thank you very much. And so we haven't been here today because we've had mommy and daughter day all day. But I'm curious who the audience is, and if you could raise your hand if you work for a CPG company. Most people, and then raise your hand if you're in the startup phase or you're founder or CEO of a CPG company. Okay, good. Well, I definitely got some tips for you today. And then I also am curious, who has not heard of a baby before? Okay, great. And then keep your hand up if you have a baby or expecting a baby and you've never heard of us. Or if you have a baby at home. Yes?
I have a great baby.
Okay. Lucy is going to bring you some baby food to try. Okay. So we're a company that is located in Fayetteville. Born and raised there. And these are some of our foundations. We really revolve around U.S. agriculture, organic agriculture, women, families. We want to support all those ingredients in one. And this middle one's Lucy here when she was 8 months old. So she's definitely been a big part of the company. As you've heard, we just heard from Blake, and then you've probably heard throughout the day, that one thing that really differentiates you as a CPG company as you're growing is your story. And that's one thing that we're really tied closely to, that we talk about a lot. We talk about our story. So I want to just briefly touch on the story and how we got to the point, how we got started and where we are now. As Derek mentioned, we've had just incredible growth the last few years. We've actually grown our sales about 1,300% in the last 12 months. And so we're expecting to quadruple that next year. So it's growing pretty quickly. But a little bit about me, my background is I'm 4th generation, she's 5th generation on our family's farm in Arkansas. And I started seeing, as a young kid, people moving away to go to college and not coming back to the farm. And just exceedingly, the median age of a farmer in the U.S. is growing. And so we don't see young people going back to the farm. We've kind of lost that connection, that connectivity of where our food comes from. And so I knew that when I grew up, I always wanted to do something to protect our legacy, our farm, our history, our roots. And I wanted to do something that involved food. I've had a lot of women in my family that have written cookbooks, restaurants, catering company, and so I always wanted to, I like making food, and I like hoarding food, and I like cooking for other people. And so I always knew it would involve agriculture and food. And so with our values, we are certified organic. We're the only baby food company on the market that uses 100% U.S. raised organic ingredients. The only one out there. This is an attribute that's special to us. It's not something that I'm willing to negotiate on, but it's also a bottleneck. And so we've learned as we're sourcing ingredients, as we're growing, that we do have a certain level of growth that we can get to under the O Baby label with the 100% U.S. raised. We are non-GMO verified, and a lot of ingredients are raised regionally as well. We have herbs in all of our flavors that help aid in digestion for young babies. You'll see some pictures now, and I'll tell some stories, because I'm supposed to be talking about how not to take no for an answer. And if I took no for an answer, my company would have gone through 9 lives. It would have just been completely done years ago. And so I'm going to go through some pictures right now of our very first production. So after I got my undergrad in environmental soil and water science, I'm trying to go back to the family farm. plan to incorporate agricultural tourism, have a salsa company using all locally grown ingredients, and also a brewery, all locally raised ingredients. And then when I was in graduate school, did my business plan, marketing analysis, and became pregnant with Lucy. And everything changed. And I thought, you know, I really can't go back to the farm. It's kind of an isolating place down there in southeast Arkansas. Who's my baby gonna play with? What school district she's gonna go into? You know, what are we gonna do for fun? I can't do this. And I certainly can't start a beer company being pregnant. So I looked at baby food. And I thought, what in the world am I gonna feed this baby? And there was nothing out there that was good enough. There just wasn't. The baby food in pouches, this is our product right here. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the new wave of baby food. It's, the glass jar is going away. You can have one of those if you want to. Still excited about it. You want to have a seat? And so, sorry about that. It's mom and daughter day. Yeah. So, anyway, so I did an industry analysis, did a 5 forces framework, utilized my graduate professors and all the journals and white papers available, and thought, I'm going to go for it. So I had some equity in my home, sold my home, started this business. She was born 2 weeks after I finished graduate school. And so after she was born, we went to a pediatrician, did the initial checkup. You remember that? And the pediatrician said, you know, just make it small talk. So Mom, what do you do? What are you going to do when you go back to work when you're not having babies? What do you do? And I said, I'm going to start this baby food company. It's going to be great. I'm going to start this new kitchen, all this equipment, all these ingredients, all this, you know, beautiful purees, and I'm going to have birds on my shoulders, and I'm going to be singing, and it's going to be great, you know. And she's like, yeah, you know, there is a euphoria after you have a baby. And there are these hormones, and you know, you might want to think about things. You know, you feel differently here in about a month. And so, you know, that if I would have taken no for an answer right there, I would have axed it, but I kept going. And then it was, where are you going to get all these ingredients? You know, local suppliers can't give you these ingredients. You've got a HACCP plan. You've got to have, you know, you've got to receive your ingredients a certain quality. You can't get this. So I said, you don't really know me. I'm going to do this. I can't take no for an answer. So I bought this little refrigerated truck here, and I put a car seat next to me. You see that? That's Lucy on a day we were shucking corn. Mm-hmm. And so we drove up to Missouri. We go to, those are Mennonite auctions for ingredients. There's rosemary, blueberries, and we continued that process for the first summer, where it took me $96 to make a case that I sold for $46. Yes. And then we processed it. So I had a 3,000 square foot kitchen where we would take the corn and we would blanch it, and then we cut it with a knife off the stalk, and then we flash freeze it, puree it, strain it, put it in these buckets, put it in the refrigerated truck, drive to a storage facility where they first told me, no, we can't just lease 4 pallet spaces to you. Are you crazy? Do you need 100? We can do that. But no, I insisted, and we did it. And then I leased a facility by the day for the packaging. I don't know if you can see all those pictures there. You did it? Good job. Anyway, there were 2 summers of this, and just before we finished up, in this facility that we used was a former Titan facility, I was using their employees, and the owner of the company came to me and said, hey, I know we've got this payment plan, and you work for a week, you rent my employees, my space, and then you pay for it, and then you come back the next week, but I'm gonna need you to go ahead and pay for this week before you finish up. I said, okay, that's fair, we can do that. So, gave him a check. About 2 hours later, he came to me and he said, hey, come in my office and close that door. okay, Fran, here's the deal. I've got investors, they're getting shaky legs. The door's about to close, my assets are gonna be frozen, and you gotta get your stuff out of here. And I literally had tons of stuff in there that were not completed. She's got a question for you guys in a few minutes. And so I said, Mark, how long do I have? How long do I have for this? And he said, well, you for sure have till midnight tonight. Yeah. And you may have tomorrow, but you're certainly not going to have the next day. So I accepted that challenge, and he showed me, okay, I'm going to leave this gate open for you just a little bit. You got to come back at dark. And here's where you turn the light switch on, and let me give you a forklift tour real quick. We'll teach you how to use the forklift. So I got a bunch of people together after working a 14-hour day. I gathered up some people, went back as instructed at night, got all my stuff, worked about 6 hours in a freezer that was like 20 below zero. Got everything out, got home the following morning, and my husband's like, if this business doesn't work out, it's not because you're not trying. And I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work out. So that was our first year of production. And so we worked from June until October processing everything. And we finally had to finish with spoons, putting into 4-ounce cups after we got everything out of there. But we met our demands. We were going to launch. We launched in 12 stores. One of them here, 8 or 9 Harps, Ozark Natural Foods, a few different other ones. And we met what we said we were going to do. We did it. And this was launch day. This was 5 years ago today. And so the very first picture is right across the street in a gas station. We celebrated your birthday in a gas station. And so I had worked for this beautiful launch. It was perfect. It was my baby. It was an inspiration. It was her first birthday. I had newspaper reporters, television stations meeting us at each stop. We did 5 different demos that day. I woke up that morning and I just started crying. And I'm getting teary-eyed. But I said, this is my first baby's first birthday. I don't even have a card for her. All I've been doing is just sacrificing to make this happen. And that's the way it is when you're starting your own company. You have to make it happen. I did buy a card the next day and dated it the day before. It was in the scrapbook. But my mom said, hey, don't worry, you don't need a card. You're launching a baby food company on her birthday. Come on. Yeah. So she did get her a cupcake. That's her very first chocolate. And then she had a little sugar crash. But I still think she's allergic to sugar.
No, I'm not.
And then came the sales. So we worked seasonally, and lots of challenges there, which led to opportunities. And so this was our first generation of product. It was 3 4-ounce servings in the freezer section. We weren't large enough to attract the contract manufacturer, so we had the option. These pouches were not on the market, so it was either jarred or frozen. And frozen was much healthier, and I could do it in the kitchen. And I knew every aspect of my business like that. And so I did tons and tons of demos, which I will not do anymore for baby food. It works for some products, but not for others, and baby food just does not work. Some people actually got offended. Would you like to try some baby food? I'm not a baby. Or I would get some comments that let me know right away that people weren't interested in tasting baby food. It just doesn't work. So we spend our money on on-shelf promos and social media. And that's another one with Whole Foods back then. This was 2009. And I knew Whole Foods was our vendor. I knew they were the place for us. And so after being on the shelves here 2 weeks, I'm ready. I'm ready to go for Whole Foods. Let's do this. I've got experience for 2 weeks. And I went to their website, and it says, so you want to be a vendor in Whole Foods? You want to do it right now? Okay, Lucy has a question for you. And
How many of you know how old I am?
She has a prize for the winning answer.
Hi.
Yes.
6. He wins.
Why, thank you, ma'am.
You get an acorn.
I got an acorn.
Very good, very good. And so when you go to that website on Whole Foods, so you want to be a vendor, it says step 1, email this person. Step 2, wait 6 months. Step 3, repeat step 2. And I did that for a whole year. I did that and got no response. And so then I called again, I emailed again, nothing. So Lucy and I got in the big rig.
And I even have my own apron.
She had her own apron. So we got in the big rig and drove down to Whole Foods in Little Rock and had it in my hand, found some random guy with a name tag that said Ryan in the rice aisle and said, hey, why don't you have this in your store? He said, I don't know, we've got to have it, we need that. And so actually what Whole Foods did at that point, there were a lot of issues with local vendors not getting in, not getting attention. They actually came up with a spot and hired someone called a local forager. And they put us through, we were the first product that they went through in the state of Arkansas. And so, so it's a much more streamlined process now. And Helen was going through the same process when I was going through it. So that's just another example of, don't wait, don't take no, just keep going. And if you can't get somebody on email or phone, go see them. That's what I do. So these are the different products that we've had. You see, this is the frozen that we started with, and I wasn't really selling baby food then. I was selling the idea of frozen food. And so what would happen was I had to first educate people on this is why frozen is better than jarred. And this is Oh Baby. This is what we do with frozen. Oh yeah, well you won't find us in the baby food aisle. You find us in the freezer section and just in these stores. And so by the time that all happened, their baby was out of purees. So it was kind of pointless. But at that point, we didn't have the volume to attract a contract manufacturer, and the pouches were just coming out. And so I went and I got an outside investor who I paid off this year. Very excited about that. That's done. But that was back in 2011, I believe. And that was back in 2011. And I knew we had to get on the shelf, and we had to have the money to have the inventory to get it started. So, so he said, who is the top manufacturer for your product? If you could have anybody in the U.S., who would do it? I said, I know right away who that is. Call them. So I called them, and they already knew who I was. Like, this is Fran again. Fran, we're still not ready to take over. We just can't do it. You're just not big enough. I said, okay, yeah, I understand. I don't want any commitments, but I'm going to be in your area. They're in Oregon. I'm going to be there next week visiting suppliers, so can I just stop in? Well, yeah, you can stop in, but no promises. I said, okay, no problem. I'll see you there. Hung up the phone, immediately got a plane ticket, because I was not going to see suppliers. But I threw in some supplier business while I was there. And so while I was there, I met with them, and the owner came in. We both had Doberman dogs. I called mine a Doberwoman, but we both had the same kind of dog, and we kind of hit it off. And then he said, yeah, do you have a business plan? I said, yes, I do. I went back to the hotel and spent 8 hours updating it, spiral bound it, and delivered it the next day, and they took us on. And that took us to the baby food aisle. And then that went back to Whole Foods. They put us region-wide, looked at sales. They said, you're doing great, but this is the new package. It's the industry standard, and you got to do it. I said, I want to do it. And so they wanted to help, and they gave us a loan to do it. And with that loan, they also want to protect their investment. So they're able to meet with me on a personal level. And so I have a clear line of communication with their global buyer. We're working on something together right now. And then during category reviews, they really look and see that you're a loan recipient, and it makes them kind of think twice about whether or not it's time to disco your item or not, because it's their product, it's their investment they want to protect. So instead, they want to work with me. I also did this for one summer, also not a moneymaker. That was a weekly delivery service but it was really vital to see what the babies liked and what they didn't. It was really fun to do that. Our current line is this, and we've got the 6 flavors here, and they come in 6 packs. And we hit these these trends in the natural channel, and it's working out really well for us. And like I said, when we launched this, our sales have grown 1,300% in 12 months, and we're very excited about that. So now we're in the United States, about 40 of them. And we just took on some new reps over here, so we're excited to fill in all those gray areas right there. So the other day, I had someone I've been talking to somebody about this larger project, and I really think it'll happen. I really think it'll be good for us. I think it's beneficial for both of us. And
the baby food.
Yes, it's a baby food project. And he's launching a couple new items, new brands, taking on some bigger projects. And, finally he told me, he's like, it's just not the right time for me. And I think, I love what you're doing. I think you're great. I think we could have something good. But it's just not the right time. And I emailed him right back, and I'm like, you don't know me. And I don't take no very easily for an answer. And right back, he wrote in those 7 words, and he said, great answer, game on, never give up, never, never give up. He said some of my best projects have come out of people who are really determined, and it's the wrong time. But we make it happen, and it works well. So I want to add to those 7 words of wisdom these 7 actions. And the first one is, want some water? No. The first one is, if you're going to live by this motto, you gotta accept it now. You gotta fully accept it. You're either in or out. And then you gotta let your family and friends know that you've accepted it, so that all of a sudden you don't have this new attitude and they worry what they've done to you, because that's gonna be your top priority. And then monitor and adjust. And so not giving up doesn't mean you've gotta be rigid. It just means you got your eyes on the prize, and being flexible is part of that action. And don't take it personally for longer than 20 minutes when somebody says no, or somebody has some really harsh words. I think for 20 minutes is a good amount of time to get really mad, you get really sad, you get really emotional, and do whatever you want to do by yourself, feel that way, and then you get over it. And then you take that and you find a solution eventually. But about 20 minutes seems to be a good steeping time for me. And then see problems as opportunities. Right now we're presenting to a retailer that, of course, I think will be a great fit. They don't have any baby food on their aisles at all. They don't see the need for it. So instead of a problem, I see that as an opportunity to grow their category, to get to fill the needs of some of their clients. Eat well. If you're selling the CPG product, you can't look haggard. You gotta look healthy. You gotta look good. Look like you're eating well. And so I spend a big part of my budget on good food. And exercise too. And so we always try to make exercise work, right? Yeah. She likes to go for runs with me. We do a lot of stuff together, don't we? It's pretty fun.
We're like 2 persons. 1 person.
We're like one person. That's right. Yeah, teary-eyed. And so when I do go for runs by myself, I don't have any headphones on. I concentrate on one thing, like one person that I haven't seen in a while that I really want to connect with, one conversation that didn't go so well, one new project, one idea, focus on one thing. And I would put sleep well, but I'm living proof that you don't have to sleep, obviously. So, and then be persistent, but don't do this. I did this the first couple years. I spent a lot of time doing manual labor, just like what you touched on. Trying to do it all yourself, all in-house. Fixing mistakes that I made, because that happened with all the manual labor I did. And then a small part on ideation. Just 1 second, okay. Very small part on ideation. And really, that's the focus. With a small CPG company, what you have that others don't have is innovation and ability to move quickly. And so larger companies look to that. So we now have a private label deal that will be launching in 2,400 stores under a retailer's own brand. That'll happen this March. And they look to us because we have innovation that they don't have. And we're also a woman-owned certified business that they really like too. So I'm very, very proud that they're supporting that. And then don't do this either. So once you've gone beyond the manual labor stage, I spend so much time in meetings, And you've got to meet people, you've got to talk about things and things that you maybe have not thought of before, but don't spend that much time on it. And then follow up for meetings, and then again, ideation, a little part of it, and ideation follow through, and everything else. So instead, I recommend doing this, filling your team with people that have abilities that you don't really have. And so, besides Lucy, the team member here, then we've got Courtney is here. Hey, Courtney. And she's social media for us and marketing. And Jacqueline, social media. And Audrey over there is our office manager. She's purse. I'm really bad about that. So they have things that I don't have, and they're really making it happen. And I want to say, Courtney, when she started, I've heard some things about social media. When she first started, we had 1,200 likes on Facebook.
Is this Dennis?
That's Dennis. And that was about a year ago. Yeah, about that. Yeah, it was September, October.
Yeah.
And now we have 52,000.
And we actually surpassed 53.
Oh, yes! Excellent. And Jacqueline has taken our brand, our flavor, our name, and just blown it all up over the web. So we're very excited. We have that connection with people. And then the other thing is having a strong board. So this is our current advisory board. You'll recognize Derek, our host, on there. And so these are people, this is the second board that I've had. Helen was one of the members that we didn't really connect so much because she was so busy growing her business and it was hard to get to meetings, but she was so helpful anytime I called. And that's okay. If people can't make us meetings, that's okay. We try to have quarterly meetings. It doesn't happen that often, but it's great to pick up the phone and say, Derek, I'm looking at this private label deal. Can you give me some tips on it? We've worked with these people before. And so it's very important to have people in places where you want to go. And then one more plug, me and my cute kids. And so now it's not only the Fran and Lucy show, it's Fran, Lucy, and Levi show. And so that's our 2-year-old up there.
2-year-old?
Yeah.
He's 3 years.
Levi is 2.
No, he's 3.
No, he's not. He turned 2 weeks ago.
He's
So
3.
anyway, and so that's kind of it in a nutshell. And I hope.
A nutshell?
Yes, commentary.
One nutshell.
And so it's been a really fun ride, and it's getting more fun all the time. And it's not without challenges. The puzzle's just changing, and so I've gone from one set of challenges to another one, and I don't suspect that's ever going to go away.
Come
But
on, you know what I mean.
every day it's fun.
Come on.
Every day it's fun. Did you have any more questions for the audience?
No.
You only had one acorn. You got the only acorn. So.
Come on.
Okay, one second.
Ah.
Okay.